and Jacob Williamson. They met over here and decided, Drew, to see who would go first. And we have questions here, and we'll do the same rules that we had under the other ones, the previous ones, and that will be the same form throughout the night. So we'll get started. Thank you. So, gentlemen, you've been advised of the rules. You know how much time you have. So we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Williamson, you drew first. So the first question will be for you. We'll alternate them just as we've done previously. The first question is, what is the most important challenge facing the Revenue Commissioner's Office today, and how would you address this issue?
So I would say that the most important challenge facing the office, and it's sort of an unchanging challenge over time, is customer service. I think it is communicating with the public the happenings of that office. You know, home valuations change. We've seen that a whole lot here lately. We've seen the price of homes increase pretty significantly, and taxpayers always get some sticker shock, so to speak, whenever they get sent out their valuation and they see how much it's gone up. We want to make sure that we are doing everything we can do to communicate to the taxpayers in advance why that is happening, how these numbers are determined, how the state comes up with the indexing. We want to make sure that they are knowledgeable about that process. I think the other thing is being accessible to the voters. I think we want to make sure that the office is very available to them whenever they call, whenever they have an issue they want addressed or a concern. I think we want to make sure that office is available to them, that the Revenue Commissioner is available to address those concerns. And then I also think that right now, you know, you look at technology, you look at how far technology has come nowadays. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there for modernization within the office. And I think that's something that we need to continue to pursue, and because technology is always increasing. So that's I would say that's the biggest challenge I see.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Mr. Hodges.
I think the biggest challenge for us in the Revenue Department, having been in that position for the last 5 years, is trying to coordinate 6 separate departments that all play a part in the process of assessing, collecting, and mapping and appraisal. And in today's economy with the cities, we do so much collecting for the cities and the fire departments and the school boards, and we collect. The county is just a small piece of what we do for everybody else, and the way the resources are being spent and the county burden taken on, we're going to have to make sure that the Revenue Department is maximizing all the available tools we have as far as assessing and collecting and getting the people that need to be on exemptions, and people that don't need to be on exemptions off exemptions, so we can get an accurate count for the cities of Oxford and Jacksonville and the school boards and the fire departments and all, where all this money goes to. So coordinating all 6 of those departments that are separate, it's like making a pie. It takes each piece to put that together to have a Revenue Department that is operating on the high end of the state level, which we've come a long way from where we were in 2020 to where we are now. And the state's guidelines, and those are all available, and you can see our county is performing at a much higher rate, which is good for everybody we service.
Thanks, Mr. Hodges. If you would stay up, you're first up next. All right. The next question is, what would you do to ensure that the taxpayer understands their rights, responsibilities, and available exemptions?
Well, we try to make it clear by doing a better job of communicating and the technology that's available. We have gone through a large transition of our ingenuity, our data company, and we've trying to create our own county website, which coordinates all the departments instead of everybody having their own separate page, to where you can go somewhere and see exactly what's offered. And the last few years, the legislature has made quite a few changes in the tax system as far as the 7% cap, which has taken effect last year, which most people don't even understand how it works. But that's one aspect of it. And controlling the market values. We have 7 full-time appraisers that are out in the market that cover the county So they have to have those resources available to be able to get out and give the technology available to the people that, and the taxpayer. And trying to help possibly, some counties have had luck with a local bill to make it to where 65, becomes a permanent exemption, which is something that we hope to pursue next year. So it's just constant communication. We have over 65,000 transactions back and forth over the counters in all 6 different departments. So you're seeing a lot of people and you're getting a lot of gunfire, but we have a great staff of people. I certainly couldn't do it. We have 36 other people in 6 different departments, and it's my job to give them every opportunity they have to better themselves at their job for what they do, because again, they're representing more than just the county. They're representing a range of people that rely on what we do. So.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Mr. Williamson.
So, one thing I think about is the Revenue Commission Office does not determine the state law or the state procedures or when people must requalify for various exemptions. But what the Revenue Commission Office can do is ensure that we are doing everything we can to communicate with the public how those processes work, how the state law lays that out, what the guidelines are for meeting those exemption requirements. And you look at social media and the opportunities that are there to mass communicate to the public, and I think that's something that we need to be taking greater advantage of. We need to be making sure that we are regularly in the communities, visiting, whether it's, you can host classes, host sort of seminars at the Chamber of Commerce does this with a number of nonprofit organizations and county agencies. You look at senior citizen centers throughout the county and making sure that we're making those people aware of the exemptions available, and then the processes to qualify for those exemptions is crucial. Most people on their own just aren't aware of these things. They're not going to learn this from nowhere. So we need to make sure that information is easily available to them and easily accessible and digestible to the average person. And I think that's what we need to look at when making sure people are aware of what exemptions that they can qualify for and the process for qualifying for those. So I think social media is huge, and just making sure that we're out there continuing to hammer that message out, and then doing it at the right time. Because there's a lot of timeline aspects to qualifying for these exemptions, and making sure that when people are able to qualify, when we're in that time of year, we are getting that information out to people. So, thank you.
Mr. Williamson, if you would stay there.
Yep.
There is currently no oversight or requirement that the Revenue Commission must be available to the public. How important is it to be available to the taxpayers that you serve while holding this office?
Well, I think that is one of the primary functions of the Revenue Commission position. We elect the Revenue Commissioner for a reason, so that you have some method of accountability in the tax assessment and collection process in the county. You can't control the staffing. The voters can't decide on the clerks and the staffing within the office and then the internal processes for how the office is being run, but they can make their will known by via voting. And so I think being very available to the taxpayers is vital for the Revenue Commission position. It is a large aspect of the purpose of the job, is to be there whenever the voters have issues, whenever they have concerns. The Revenue Commissioner is there to respond to those concerns and address those concerns. I say that 3 big aspects of the job, what I'm running on, are accountability, accessibility, and transparency. And I think accessibility is a huge factor. I talked to a number of people throughout this county, and they don't feel like we have the accessibility that we should have. And that's something I'd like to change. I can promise I'd be there every day of the week in the office. If you have an issue and you want to come see me, you can come see me. If you give me a call, I'll give you a call back. And I may not be able to tell you what you want to hear, but I can at least give you a call back and explain, why decisions are having to be made in that way if you're a taxpayer who has a concern. So, I think that it's something that the voters really have to ensure that accountability is there. That is for them to keep the taxpayer, the Revenue Commissioner accountable. But the Revenue Commissioner needs to ensure that they are available to the voters. And that's what I'd like to bring to the office. So if elected, I can promise you I'll be in the office 5 days a week, and you can get me on the phone anytime. I may not get back to you immediately, but I'll get back to you. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Mr. Hodges.
Well, unfortunately, this job is not one that you're going to get completed by by just sitting around the desk when you got 6 different departments, you got 3 locations spread out throughout the county. So, you know, it's, you're welcome to come in the office at any point and talk to any of our employees, and they can either get you to me or the right person or set up an appointment. Thousands of people do it. I mean, we do it every day. If I don't see somebody there when I've got somebody else, or they're getting ready for, right now, it's the end of the tax period completely for 25, or by the April 30th. So, the Revenue Commissioner does need to be out in the public. He needs to know what's going on. He needs to know what's going on with KMET movie at the Starships. He needs to know, you know, what's going on with the schools and how their tax money is coming in. And, you know, so there's so many different aspects to this that this is, one good example, 5 years ago in protest period for equalization notices that are coming out shortly, which is basically a look ahead for the fall of 26. The equalization period, protest period was 3 weeks. 3 weeks over there. There were so many that were protesting. The properties were a lot of imbalance and all. Now we have just finished up, and our protest period last year was 2 days. So I think that says a lot. The fact that people come to us, we settle their problems, we work with them face to face before they even have to go to protest period. So they don't have to sit in front of the equalization board. But if they do, we back them up. We usually get the change for them. So when you're making 60,000 transactions, I feel like I'm staying in pretty good touch with them. So thank you.
Mr. Hodges, you would stay up. There's only 2 of you, so we got to juggle this a little bit. Next question is, what would you do to improve the process of assessment challenges, customer service, and improve the overall efficiency of the Office of Revenue Commissioner?
Again, a lot of that is controlled by the state. You know, a lot of what we do is everything starts in Montgomery, and so every time, you know, we collect, the state's on the top. So there's always a challenge with the state. They're meeting all the time with. In the last couple of years, the state's been more involved in the revenue department side of things. There's been a lot of shakeup on the entire Department of Revenue, but really going through COVID and all the market changes and the huge swings of everything that has happened, that we are just in our office trying to eliminate our. If you've been in, you got collecting, assessing, you've got that kind of dead space in the middle. Eliminating that so we can connect our assessing and collecting departments together, so when you come in, it's kind of a one-stop. You can work your way from assessing to collecting, and instead of trying to go. So we're constantly trying to streamline the process, because again, this is money that belongs to other organizations, and we owe it to the cities and the fire departments and the schools and everybody else to make sure we're giving everybody the same fair treatment they deserve. Some people need to be brought back in line, and then there's some that need to be corrected and getting the exemptions or what they deserve based on their property. So there's always a challenge of trying to pull together 6 different groups of people that have different jobs that make up the pie at the end of the day. So we're always trying to make them better.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Mr. Williams?
So in terms of streamlining internal processes, you know, I think one thing, like the Commissioner said, a lot of this is controlled by the state. However, again, what we can control is the education of the public. Now, a lot of times people come in there with a concern or an issue, and they might not necessarily even understand the process themselves, and we need to work on explaining that process to them, the appeals process to them. And you know, a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with that. So doing some proactive work and making sure that we are familiarizing the voters, the taxpayers with those processes before they have a problem arise would do a lot when those problems arise, in my view. And the other thing is, what I can confidently say, I don't work in the office at this moment, So I can't tell you, I'm not gonna make any vows to go and immediately start changing things up and turning the office on its head. That's wouldn't be responsible. That'd be fairly reckless. But what I can say is that any opportunity to make the office run more efficiently or more smoothly, I would pursue that. I would be incredibly interested in that. And I know changes are sometimes not what people want, but I do think that if we can change some things in that office to get it running a little bit smoother, I think that'd be a great change. So, thank you. I'll say
Stay. All right. The next question is, how will you ensure that property assessments across Calhoun County are fair, accurate, and up to date?
Well, I think that consistency is key there. You want to make sure that a house in one part of the county is being assessed fairly comparatively to other houses on the basis of market value. If you have one home that is 1,300 square foot, you have another same size, basically same design, but the homes are appraised in grossly different ways. I think that's an issue where you say, okay, this seems like we have some inconsistencies here in the appraisal values. So we need to make sure that when we look at things, that everything across the county is consistent, everything's being done consistently. That double checking is very helpful there. So I think consistency is key with that regard, and making sure that one area, there's no outliers. You want to avoid any outlier appraisals, because an outlier is probably an indicator that something was not done properly. So I would just say making sure that things are done consistently. That'd be my approach. And then working with the appraisers on this as well. The appraisers, typically, they know what they're doing. They're fairly educated, and they have to go to a good number of classes to become an appraiser. So, I would defer to them, and you want to make sure they're doing their jobs correctly, but they know how to do their jobs. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Mr. Hodges.
Well, this one with the appraisal department is a good topic, because we have 7 appraisers, which 6 of them are state certified, which again, they have to go to training through the state, through Auburn University, and it's very complex, appraiser 1, 2, and 3 to get to that point. But so they're out in the county all the time. They have different parts of the county, the 7 people they cover, and they're boots on the ground, tape measures. So the new builds, the home sales, we track all the market data, all the home sales, all the new homes built, square footages, what's sold, pre-construction, post-construction. So that's how we try to stay on top of the real estate market, because it has shifted a lot in the last couple of years. That's why the state got involved with 7% cap. So the appraisers come back from the field, whether it's the new racetrack in Alexandria or something built, a camper place at the Exchange, or they've got to be out there and see what's going on. So they are. They've got pictures, and when you go to the GIS website, you can access all that data from what their work in the field is. So they're not just arbitrarily out there picking market values or setting market values on their own. We have a lady that works for the state of Alabama. She works in our office in the appraisal department. She stays there, Janet, all the time, and she looks at the land studies, and she monitors what's going on across the state in comparison to ours. So they do compile all the latest data, and they do use that to come up with assessment values. So, and everybody wants their value, what it's worth. That's all they want.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Before we get to closing remarks, if you're here running for county commission and you're in the forum tonight, if you would go to my right over here by the exit sign, and meet with Mr. Molinax to decide the order that we'll ask the questions in on the next segment. So at this time, gentlemen, your time for your 2-minute closing comments. Mr. Hodges, I believe you're up first.
Again, my name's Tim Hodges. I'm running for Revenue Commissioner, re-election Revenue Commissioner. I was County Commissioner for 11 years. Understanding the Revenue Department is very complex. There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of good employees. I couldn't do it without the employees. With the county, it all starts and stops with the employees that are working on the counter, whether it's Barry's office or my office, or when you're dealing with the public every single day. It's a very stressful job. They're not paid the best in the world. So, it's a wonderful job. I like what I do. I like providing for the county and the cities. We play a big role in the entire operation of the county. School boards, across the whole spectrum. And the cities depend on that income a lot. So we want to try to always be available. I was born and raised here. My wife, been married 36 years, 7 children. Some of them are here tonight. I'll make it. But I love my family. I love this county, and I love my job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Mr. Williamson?
So I'll just go ahead and take a second to introduce myself very quickly. I'm from Ohatchee, for those who may not know. Graduated Ohatchee High School and had the privilege of attending the University of Alabama on an academic scholarship. Graduated in 3 years. It was an interesting time to be there. I was there from 2019 to 2022, so that was a tumultuous period to say the least. But I was very fortunate to be able to come back here to Calhoun County, work here for a number of years, and now I'm seeking this office. The reason I'm seeking this office is because I think that there are some changes that need to be made in the Revenue Commission office. As I've spent the last few months campaigning and talking to people across this county, it is clear to me that people do not feel as if we have the most successful Revenue Commission office. People do not feel like they can easily get the Revenue Commission on the line. And I think that regardless of the truth of those concerns, what we need is to make sure that the voters feel like they have a representative who, when they have a problem, they can give them a call, they can meet with them, and it won't be a large hassle. We want to make sure that we are making it easy for voters to interact with their elected officials and have their voices heard. And that's a big portion of this office, and that's why I like the position. I'm running on accountability, accessibility, and transparency. And with regards to transparency, I think there's a number of things that we can do. I didn't really get to talk about that too much, but if you look at something like what Shelby County does, they have a portal. I think it's called the Transparency Portal, or the Government Transparency Portal, something along those lines. And it shows you the disbursements from the county revenue, they call it the Property Tax Commissioner. But, and it shows how the money is dispersed from that office. And I think that we need to look at things like that as well in this county so that people can have a little bit more faith in how the process works. Like I said, education is everything with this position, and I think that's something we need to improve upon. But like I said, my name is Jacob Williamson. I'm happy to speak with anybody, anytime anyone wants to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Jacob Williamson for Revenue Commissioner, and I appreciate y'all's vote on May 19th. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Let's give both Mr. Hodges and Mr. Williamson a We appreciate you and again, we ask that if you would like to ask any questions, for a few minutes, maybe back in the hall, or they may be around after the next session to take any questions that you may have. So we're going to take a short minute break there. The commissioners are drawing to see who want to go first. And it looks like it's getting pretty interesting in there. So we'll give it about 2.5 minutes, and then we'll try to get started again.